Hey, how's it going, guys? My name is Brandon G. Alexander. I'm an actor in Los Angeles, and you are tuned in to another episode of Young Black Equestrians.
I am a young
Black equestrian.
I'm a young black equestrian.
I am a young black equestrian.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Young Black Equestrians with your host, Abriana Johnson. Today, I have Brandon G. Alexander here with us to talk about a lot of things. But mainly who he is, what he does, and his experience as a Black cowboy. So welcome to the show. I'm so happy that we finally got to get on here together.
Thank you for asking me. I've been a massive fan for so long, and I was like, interview me. Just send me a DM. And then it happened.
Yeah, the stars align, and yeah, it was meant to be. It was meant to be.
Yeah.
We're meant to be here. So start from the beginning. Very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about yourself. You are in LA.
Yep.
Kind of a brief synopsis of what you are doing and how you kind of got into horses.
Got it. The funny thing I think a lot of people don't know is I moved out to LA for dance. So yeah, and there it is. And there it is, right? Another layer peeled back. So I moved out to LA from Texas in 2007. I graduated high school and I needed an out. I wanted to play football. Some stuff went down and I needed to get out, and dance was my out. So I landed myself here in LA. When I got to LA, I experienced dance. I realized that it was really just a stepping stone for me. And then I got into acting, and I love acting. Acting is my passion. Acting is my craft. And so I've been doing that now for the last couple of years. But the horse thing for me, I think it's a deeper conversation. So I'm going to kind of give you bullet points.
Okay. People
hear the accent, they see the truck, they see I ride horses, and they say, "Where are you from?" And I say, "Texas." And they say, "Oh, it makes sense." And everything in me is like, "Brandon, it's not the time to explain yourself." So you just say, In reality, I wasn't born in Texas. So when I was a kid, I loved horses. I loved Westerns. I loved what it offered. And it wasn't accessible for me. It wasn't a reality for me. It wasn't tangible to me, right? And my mom would tell me for the longest time, it's an expensive hobby. And I've got 6 kids, so I can't really afford to put one in this really expensive hobby when the school provides you track and field, and the school provides you PE and football and basketball. You can take those and we can talk about, you can draw your horses and watch your Animal Planet. And that's what I did. And it was a journey over time where I would connect with a horse randomly on a road, or I would connect with a horse that I went for a trail ride. I was thinking back to this actually the other day about one of my first interactions with horses, and I can't remember the exact moment, but I was like, oh wow, that was actually a pivotal moment for me. But this journey that people see, the chapter people see now, is only a year old. Because at 32 at the time, I was going through a rough patch in my life, and I think this will be the segue into the rest of the interview. I was in a rough patch in my life, and I said to myself, I need my own therapy that's not a therapist.
Mhm.
I don't need to sit in a room. I don't need to sit in front of someone and talk. I just need to be in nature, but in my way. And my aunt had passed away on my birthday that year, and I went through a breakup, and I was like, I'm going to go get on a horse. I found a rental place, and literally that's all she wrote. I wanted to absorb everything that I could about the equestrian lifestyle. And then I learned that there was this massive world of Black equestrians and cowboys and jumpers and vaulters and all these things, right? That prior to this moment, I was almost like, I felt blind to the fact that this entire world existed. And I think a lot of people do once I say, you think this is it? You think just seeing me on this horse is it? And you peel back that lens for them, and they're like, oh my God, I never knew.
Yeah.
So that is the gist of my horse journey and my passion and my love for them.
Mm-hmm. That is incredible. I like that you kind of identified that as a chapter, because people do try to put a narrative, on you. Like you said, I take what I see. I see truck, I see cowboy hat, I see Texas, and make up a story.
Yeah. Because it makes sense to them, right? That's the whole thing. People always say that people fear, or they want to understand, so they make it make sense for them because it's comfortable for them. And they don't want to recognize that this is a Brandon thing. But at the same time, I'm so aware of the fact that, yeah, I can see how you see that. So I say that to myself. So don't fight it, Brandon, because you're not going to see this person in 15 minutes anyway. Yep, right. You're right. Got it. And then I move on. But if someone wants to have a conversation and they say, well, how did you get started? How did you? I say, well, I'm glad I say, well, I'm glad you're asking me, because now I get to show you me, not who you think I am. Because if you want who you think I am, then by all means enjoy that person and the reward that comes with. But that's limited to what you could get if you sat down and talked with me.
Absolutely. So let's kind of go into, I'm straying from my question.
She said the Holy Spirit that took over, child. She said the Holy Spirit
activate. Holy Spirit activate.
I see it in your face. You hit one. I said, uh-oh. Well, there it is. We're gone. She's off script. She's off book, guys. She's
I cannot. Yes, improv. And that's the thing. Like I was not the theater kid. I never, and it wasn't until I had an employee ask me, wow, have you ever done theater? And I was like, I'm gonna call HR, girl.
Yeah.
You trying to call me dramatic? But anyway, okay. So you get to LA.
Yeah.
You have this period of, short word for it, trauma. Like you needed to find an escape from that. And you use horses to do that. What did that period look like? Because I feel like a lot of people kind of enter horse equine relationships with that need, but may have a certain perspective on like time. So like, what does that journey look like for you?
Are we going right before, or we're going right when I start?
Right when you started.
Right when I started. I mean, honestly, I submerged myself into it. The rental place that I was going to, LA Horse Rentals, wonderful place. If you're watching and you're in LA, because Circle K, I think Circle K is still around, but there's another place that's gone. They're buying properties in this community like crazy right now. So yeah. But LA Horse Rentals is still going. I went to the manager and I said, I want to learn everything that I possibly can. And I will pay for every ride that I take, but I'll come here and I'll clean your stalls. I'll clean saddles. And she's like, okay. I get it. You want to get into horses? And I'm like, yes. And side note, the Padma Jones was my first like equine friend in LA. And she's through her sister is Yoda Jones, and she's a dancer. So Padma had a horse, and I saw the horse, and I was like, yo, wait, first of all, you have a horse in LA, crazy. Second of all, you're Black, what the heck? Third of all, how can we be friends? And so she was my intro to this whole thing years prior. And we had been on like one or two rides, but time wasn't connecting us. So I always want to make sure that I tell people that my journey didn't start with this place. It started with Padma Jones, who is a Black woman who took the time to show me like, yo, we do this. She grew up as a show jumper, different things like that. She rode English style, she can ride Western, but she was a person that really let me know that it was okay to love this, right? So shout out to Padma Jones. So fast forward to, she knew about the place that I was going to go to. I started going there, but she didn't have the time I needed to be like, this is the latigo, this is your cinch, this is the horn, this is your Cheyenne roll, this is this. And I learned all that there. And I became so invested that my life changed in the best way possible, because Brandon found more Brandon than he had ever had in his life. And not on some, because I've always been country at heart. So I didn't just transform into like some country out of the blue, Wrangler wearing, flannel wearing guy. And people are like, what happened to you? They're like, actually, Brandon, this has been you the entire time we've known you, but this just needed to surface. Yeah. So it was like a part of me that was calling to me and pulled to me, that I finally had the opportunity to fully realize, right, what this meant for me. I needed to fully realize this other part of my life that wasn't Hollywood, wasn't dance, wasn't acting, wasn't women, wasn't that. It was just like, you need this for your soul and everything that it comes with. And the trauma wasn't the basis of my relationship. The trauma was an introduction, maybe a catalyst, but it wasn't the basis. The basis became about respect and communication. And I learned something very valuable in that time with all those horses, and then eventually to my own personal horse.
Wow. So how do you go from, hey guys, I want to learn everything about horses, to it being an integral part of your body of work?
I haven't talked about this. I've talked about in like day-to-day conversations, everything else we talked about. I think what happened for me was, if you listen to God, God will show you something naturally and organically that's not going to be forced upon you, and you marry things that are already in your life, right? My acting and my storytelling happened to go with something that socially is becoming very relevant right now. So it was just a natural progression for photography, storytelling, acting to mesh and mold with the Western lifestyle and the horses in the timing that it did. It wasn't premeditated. It just naturally, because I just trusted God and said, okay, Pop, you brought me here, but this is happening in my acting career, but this is also happening in like Hollywood, in the media and the movies and the Westerns coming back and the commercials and the music videos. It was just a natural progression for me to do that, but to not do it from a place of capitalizing on it, but to share my story, to share what was real for me and you, right? The young Black equestrian, the young Black cowboy, cowgirl experience in America. And that story and through line, oddly, wildly, is a line for Africans. It's a line for the British Blacks that love horses. It's a through line for Jamaicans that love horses. It's a through line for natives that love horses and First Nations people. It showed me that our pin drop was a massive connector of peoples, from us just saying, I live this lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah. That is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. And I think that's one of the elements of surprise for a lot of people. Like, oh, like you think you're gonna, get into this and be alone, or get into this and, you know, like we've already started. Like the horses in general just facilitate connection, because compared to the rest of the world, like we still we still kind of cuckoo crazy. So we're still over here, all right?
Right.
We're over here together. Okay.
Yes.
So it's incredible to see, people online on socials like, oh, I would like to meet Black cowboys. And it's like, well, here's a ton of them. And they're like,
yes.
Oh, I didn't know y'all had got together as a collective and was representing yourselves.
The day I'll never forget the day I found your page. So what happened was, I think Jamie Foxx posted something from the Bill Pickett Rodeo. This is crazy how this played out. Jamie Foxx posted something from the Bill Pickett Rodeo, and in the picture, it's him, Glenn Turman, Obba Babatunde, James Pickens Jr. Right, so it's the four of them in the photo. That one photo led me to clicking on James Pickens Jr. I'm like, yo, that's Dr. Weber. That's crazy. Dr. Weber then shows me that Bill Pickett or James Pickens Jr. has a charity roping place, right? That then gives me a drop-down bar for similar pages to follow. It was Young Black Equestrians, and Black Reigns magazine. And I said, oh, let's this is not even a question. And since then, was this almost, a year and a half, 2 years ago now, it was crazy. It was a day that changed my life forever, because literally that content was just like, I am not alone.
Yep.
Oakland, Compton, Sunland, Shadow Hills, Idaho, Montana, Louisiana, Mississippi, Kentucky, New York, Virginia, Florida. What?
Yes.
So, and then don't forget, shout out to Philly. I ain't trying to get in trouble. I don't need them riding out on me. Come on, Philly. I'm gonna show y'all love. In the best way possible. And then Chicago. So Chicago just recently hit my radar because someone from I think it's called if she's gonna kick my behind because she's my auntie now, but it's either Broken Arrow or Crossing Arrows Riding Club in Chicago. Has been around now for about, I think she was saying 30 something years. And I was doing the Black Cowboy Week, and she sent me a message and she says, I think you forgot about us in Black Cowboy Week. I said, well, listen, Black Cowboy Week wasn't really I wasn't doing anything like that, but thank you for making yourself aware, because now I know that you exist and your club exists. And so she starts talking about Chicago. And what blows my mind about this is that it's not just what you and I know, and not just what the equestrian world knows of roping, reining, all that stuff, cattle ranchers and whatever, or even just the Western or the English world. These communities that exist are something for me that have been like, wait, what? Like, how does no one know? You've been around for 30, 40, 50 years and no one knows about you? How is that even possible?
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the major differences, or major misconceptions about this podcast, because it's called Young Black Equestrians, because I have an animal science degree. I don't really like cows. So I just have a hard time calling myself a cowgirl. But I grew up in these communities of hundreds of Black cowboys and cowgirls that would meet in the middle of the woods Where are we? I don't know. You have to call the number on the flyer and they'll give you directions. And then you'll see a
Mm,
sign and then you follow the sign into the woods. That's how, I grew up. I mean, I kind of grew up on both sides, through university, seeing like the English, veterinary polished side, and then growing up and we're trail riders. And so a lot of times people would come to the podcast and, be like, well, what discipline do you ride? The kind where you don't hit the ground. What do you
yeah,
mean?
I love that the nose went up when you said it because it do be a little like.
Yeah, like so were you adventurers, jumpers, what? No. If you jumps over a log, then yes, we're jumpers. Yes.
Yes, we're jumpers in
What's
that
up?
moment.
Like in that moment, we be jumping. So
Yeah. What
what?
do you
I
need
don't
from me?
know. Endurance.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do endurance. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Like, and it's kind of there's been a interesting dichotomy of responses to that. Like,
Yeah.
oh wow, yet you're still here, yet you're facilitating these conversations. And it's like, I feel like that kind of the trail riding kind of, backwoods cowboy story is still something that's so rare, despite us knowing, a lot of it still happens.
That's the thing for me. That pull because, and once again, it's like the Texas thing. People call me a cowboy. I aesthetically fit the bill. I wear the hat, I wear the boot. And James said this in an interview. James Pickens Jr. said this. He says, I'm actually a horseman. I'm an avid horseman. I don't work with cattle. He'll rope or whatever, but I'm not pushing cattle. I don't have a ranch. So therefore, to be a cowboy, and really for anyone who's listening, to be a cowboy is someone really who is pushing the cattle, working the cattle, a cow puncher. That is a cowboy. Now, if you're speaking to the experience and the attire and the aesthetic, sure, if that makes sense for you, fantastic. But these guys call themselves cowboys. It's more of a fashion thing. It's a trend thing.
Mm-hmm.
The hat and the boots don't make you a cowboy, right? Because I've met some cowboys. I'm like, I'm far from that. I don't want nothing. I'm not about that life at all. I think it's more, but do you? I love it. But I consider myself a horseman. But for Hollywood, for what Hollywood considers a cowboy, I'm a cowboy. Yeah. I'm a Black cowboy for their understanding level, right? But I think as an equestrian, you understand that there is a difference between that. You're not going out telling people I'm a cowgirl, I'm a cowgirl, I'm a cowgirl. Now, old girl, I think Urban Cowgirl is her name on Instagram. She's out here like packing her horses out. She's actually doing cowgirl things. So for me, I'm like, bet that, done deal. But if you just put on some boots, boot, and Ivy Park, that don't make you no cowgirl. It don't make you. It don't make you a cowgirl. Did I say something wrong?
No. It just caught me off guard. But yes, you are absolutely right.
Did I say something not
No.
okay?
No. It's great. Absolutely great. Absolutely right. So, I mean, I guess this is a great segue into Black Cowboy Week. And I'm gonna stop there. Black Cowboy Week. Tell me about that and how that got started, or what your idea was behind that. Because I was like, dang, it's a Black Cowboy Week. How I didn't know it was Black Cowboy Week. I'm googling like, is it the same week every year? And then I was like, oh, he came up with this.
I did. I thank you for that, for saying it, because so funny, not funny. I was like, nobody knows who is making up these random, I don't know where we're at for language, so I'm gonna just keep it PG. But I don't know who's making up these random holidays. I didn't know it was National Sock Day, National Lasagna Day, National Step Cousin Day, National Sleep Day. Who is saying, you know what, I sign off on this? Who's doing it? So I said, you know what? Forget it. They're gonna catch on to mine. Black Cowboy Week. You got a Cowboy Day, and it's in July. And I didn't know that until this year. And I was like, there's a Cowboy Day? Got it. Celebrating, haha. But nothing for us. I see how it is. So I said, I'm gonna give us a week, not gonna give me a day. And you know, I have to thank men like Obba Babatunde, Reginald T. Dorsey, Garrett Davis, James Pickens Jr. These are the names that are my peers. These are the men that I look to. These are my OGs, my like big dogs, like everything you can think of in the sense of the term, uncles, whatever. Like these men have paved, they've paved and are the idea for me of what I want to do. And they are Black cowboys. You know, Obba's got, you know, roping and rodeo championships under his belt. Reginald T. Dorsey is a fantastic roper. Garrett Davis is an incredible horseman, and James has his rodeo, and he ropes and was roping at a certain point in time. So for me, I wanted to showcase a side of them that no one had seen like that, right? I think if you're in the world, you may know, but I'll never forget this moment. I walked into Obba's tack room, and it was like out of a movie. And I look up, and it's a young Obba, just bulldog neck, white t-shirt, and he got his rope and his cowboy hat on. Mind you, at the time, he's still acting in Hollywood, because I've known him to be on my TV for as long as I can remember, right? Whether it was a movie or a TV show. So to know that he's been cowboying as long as I've been watching him on TV was mind-blowing. So I'm looking at the photos, and then he's got these photos of him and Herb Jeffries. Do you know about the Bronze Buckaroo?
Mm-mm.
So Herb Jeffries is the Bronze Buckaroo. He was the first African-American cowboy to be televised. And he has Black Westerns about Harlem goes to so-and-so. And kind of the name of his game was Harlem. Harlem does this, Harlem goes to here. And the Bronze Buckaroo was his whole thing. The Gene Autry before Gene Autry, right? So Obba's got pictures with Herb and like even when he was older. And in that moment, I realized that it was such a rich history that to be a part of it meant something more, that I have to carry on this legacy. So I said, they're not the biggest on social media, right? Just because of time, right? And I said, I need to utilize this platform to inform some people about these men, but then also I said, people started hitting me up. Can you give me a shout out? So my stories are dedicated to this person, that person, this community. I couldn't get to everybody. But the awareness, I saw it bring, but then also like people being like, yo, there's a week for us. The feeling for me was beyond what I intended the project to be. And so we've talked about kind of the essence and the ethos around what it is, right?
Right.
The actual project itself is a documentary short that I'm going to be releasing to film festivals this coming year. And Ivan McClennan, 8 Seconds. We love him. This man he's Golden. Done something.
Yes.
The nod, and
and he needs to respond to my emails. But yeah,
I'm gonna text him when we get done. I'm be like, hey, big dog. So there's an interview coming out, and you need to respond like tomorrow. But Ivan was coming into LA. He wanted to shoot with me, right? And I was like, no, you can't come here and miss this opportunity to document these men who I don't know how much longer we're having. Obba is 70. You know, James is he's up there. So while they're still riding and they're still in the saddle, we have to document this. We have to do this because not only are they beacons in the rodeo world for people who know them, because that's where you're coming from to photograph, but in Hollywood entertainment, 17 seasons, I believe, of Grey's Anatomy. And he's been on it from the beginning, right? Obba, Life, all the shows and movies that he's done, playing a Nicholas brother, triple threat, singer, dancer, producer, director. Reginald T. Dorsey, 21 Jump Street, the Cherokee Kid, these movies that he's done, TV shows that he's done. Same thing with Garrett Davis. He's got his resume, blew my mind the other day because he and I got really close, and I was like, yo, wait, hold on. So to capture these men in a way, and like my buddy Marlon Burke, can't forget about Marlon Burke. He's on Outer Banks on Netflix right now.
My neck of the woods.
There it is. Listen, that show is something else. Like at first I was like, what is this? And I was like, I'm hooked. Forget it. I'm going to South Carolina. I'm just gonna live there, give me a nice little house on the water. Like that's it. My family's from North Carolina, so it's not too far.
That's where I am, in North Carolina.
Yeah, and what's crazy, it's a whole thing. It's like, yeah, that's a sidebar. So to showcase these men for me was to add a log to the fire of the conversation of what it meant to be forgotten in history, to be forgotten by media, to be forgotten by Hollywood, to be left out of the books, and introduce people to something that not only is for the African American experience in Middle America, because people, that's what the whole thing, you expect it in Louisiana, you expect it in Mississippi, you expect it in North Carolina and South Carolina, you expect it. These men are from New York. They were telling me there's stables in the city that take you along the beach, and that they do trail rides there, and they fell in love with horses in New York. That doesn't even register to me. So when they came to LA, they took whatever they loved there and they brought it here. And in LA, when I found it in LA, I was exposed to it from like the Valley standpoint, which is like North Hollywood, Sunland, Burbank, Glendale, and then you have Santa Clarita, Agua Dulce, in these areas. And my boy Jay, and all those guys, they're out there in like Lancaster, Palmdale area. But then you had the Compton Cowboys, and their relevance and their potency in creating awareness was undeniable. It was undeniable, right? So for me, the project was to add a log to that already fire, and to hopefully make that flame a little bit bigger, and bring a little bit, and bring some people a little bit closer to home, and bring some people a little bit closer to truth. Yeah,
absolutely. And even with that, I feel like, it's, let's capture them, while they're still here, and let's capture something that, I have lots of thoughts running through my brain right now. But I feel like these men, like, we see them.
Yes.
But we don't always see them. And that's something that we have not seen of them.
Yes.
And that's why I felt like it was so incredible the way that you were able to showcase that. And congrats on sending that to film festivals. I'm sure that will be freaking amazing.
Thank you. And it's really for all of us. It really is. I mean, for me, a lot of people have been asking me about moving into producing and from acting and stuff like that. And right now my lane is really in the commercial sense, and crossing over into more film and stuff like that. But for me, the bigger picture is, okay, I'm not going to complain about who's telling the story. I'm just going to tell the story. So the whole idea of saying Hollywood forgot, they didn't mention us. Okay, that's fantastic. Well, I'm going to mention us. Yeah. And I'm not even going to do it in a way that says you're going to listen to me. I'm inviting you to sit at the table and listen. It's an invitation. Everything's an invitation. Would you like to hear about another perspective? Would you like to hear about something, even though you think you know, or you think you knew, but had no clue that someone you just worked with on set for the last 6 months has a horse in Agua Dulce and rides it on the weekends, because that's what heals him. And what's the thing so Yellowstone for me is a great show. I love Yellowstone.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to write Taylor and be like, so when are you going to introduce Black cowboys in your show? Because Denham Richards is one man.
Mm-hmm.
He's one man in your vast world of what you're creating, which I love. I love the show. I'm practically obsessed with it, right? Then when you have 1883, LaMonica Garrett, you still have one Black cowboy. To me, it's repeating a narrative of what we've already seen. Introduce an entire family of rodeo champions, stars, have a ranch in Texas. Give it to them. And watch the world digest something. You're taking the time to make sure that you show the indigenous struggles and these different things and X, Y, and Z. Fantastic. I think that's great. I think it's a really nice integration into acknowledging something else. But to fail to mention or to fail to even really showcase someone outside of who we see with Kevin Costner and Cole Hauser and these characters, which is your typical representation of what that looks like. Mm-hmm. Please give us, for your viewers who look like us, give us something that we can say, I love to see it. I love to see that you brought that. They're going to this 4-6's ranch in Texas, and everyone now is Googling and looking up 4-6's ranch, right? Massive awareness is something a lot of people may not have known about. So to me, to Taylor, it's really not even just it's not a knock, it's an encouragement to say, you think you're doing wonders now with your show? Put a whole family that looks like me on that show. Yeah. And watch what happens, doing everything that everyone else is doing and not making it Black versus white. Just we rodeo, we ride bulls, we ride broncs, we raise cattle, because that's their lifestyle.
Right.
And that's my hope with producing, is that it's not about making it Black versus white or a Black thing. Please understand me. When I say Black cowboys, I'm saying cowboy with an identifier for you to understand that this is something different than you know. Mm-hmm. But the through line is not to make it about us versus anybody. It's, no, we are here.
Yeah. 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 You touched on something that I was also going to ask or get your insight on, which I think you kind of touched on a little bit, but the importance of us telling our own stories.
Yeah.
I feel like there has been a lot of times where I can see a narrative and I'm like, that's not quite right.
Yeah.
Like, and so I tend to gravitate to people that identify similarly to me to tell this kind of story. So how important is that for you?
It's massively important. Agenda for me is different than awareness, right? I'm not here with, I think the problem that you may have that I have is agenda based. So if you have an agenda, your stance is more so against or anti something versus the fact that like, I'm not anti anything. I'm not against anything, but I am bringing awareness to you of the fact that Blue Mitchell is one of the coldest bull riders you'll ever see. And he's one of a few of us at the PBR, and even like these 3 guys that just, they're going to the NFR because they qualified for rope tying. It, to me, it's not about them versus the white cowboys. This is like, hey guys, they get a fair shake because they're hardworking men. And they deserve to be at that rodeo. We are showing people that this isn't about give me a spot because I'm Black. Because if I'm trash, it's not gonna make a difference.
Right. Absolutely.
So for me, the if you want to create, to me, it's my opinion as a creator, if you want to create quality work, you can't do it with the intention of making it against anything, but only speaking from truth and freedom and love. And inherently, whoever that pushes against, rubs against, isn't because you were trying to rub somebody the wrong way. It's that the truth is rubbing them. And that's why they're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's why they can't stand it. That's why they're like, I don't know about that idea. Well, why is it rubbing you the wrong way? Well, I don't know if anyone, I got it. You want to do what we've done for thousands of years and hundreds of years, which is turning a blind eye to the truth. Got it. And that's fine. But when you control the narrative, like your page, no one has control over your page and your content but you. No one.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so powerful. So it is definitely important. And I think Ivan is something that, though he is temporary, because he's a photographer. So once the subject matter changes or something changes, but for this time that we have him as a storyteller, he has created so much awareness to Yeti, to the Carhartts, to the Wranglers, to the Western culture, if you will, of us, without any agenda.
Right.
Just simply awareness.
Right. That's a very good distinction. I was at the Tom Bass seminar this past weekend, and someone asked me, well, what about the Asian writers, and what about the Hispanic? And I was like, what about them?
Yeah.
Like this is not a us versus them. I am telling the story that I identify with, and this should be proof and empowerment for other people to do the same. No one is stopping them. I am also not concerned about what they are creating. Do you need help on how to start a podcast? I will help you. But I cannot be concerned about someone else's, I'm not going to tell my story because you're not telling your story. No, friends.
Yeah. Or fail to mention because you champion this group over here. I tell this story often in interviews because it was pertinent to the fact that God gave me a vision. I think it's true for everyone. I was on a bus in my dream. I was on a bus, and I knew my stop was coming up. Let's just say five stops away, right? And I hear an argument behind me. Two people are arguing, and a third person hops in. I can't tell you exactly what, but they're arguing. And in my mind, I'm like, oof, I'm kind of itching for an argument. I want a little debate action, right? I go to the back of the bus. I start debating with everybody about their points and why that doesn't work, why that's not true, and that's trash, right? I'm going to win all these arguments. I hear the bus driver say, next stop, Van Nuys. I hear it, but I keep arguing and debating with everybody. By the time I'm done debating, I walk to the front of the bus and I say, hey, man, when's my stop coming up? He says, we passed it 2 stops ago. I said, okay, well, when's the bus going back around hit my stop? This bus doesn't stop. This bus doesn't go back around. This bus keeps going. This bus is life. If you concern yourself with someone else's thing and someone else's thing and someone else's thing, and if you don't feel called to it, you are doing a disservice to yourself and to that group of people, because the one thing that we don't get back is time. We don't get time back.
You ain't said nothing but a word.
So while you have it, this podcast, this content you're creating, right? You are empowering anyone who is deciding to tune in and listen to it, because I can promise you it's not just Black people. I can promise you it's not just women. I can promise you it's not just men. It's anyone who says, I love what she's putting out there, because when I scroll, I see it. It lights up my day. I learn something new. And that's the best thing about it, right? It's like a book. It's a book. It's a book in your hand right there. As soon as you tap it, it's a book. A new chapter is posted every day, and you get to learn something new. But the second you go and you want to go take someone else's book that ain't got nothing to do with you, have no passion about, you know nothing about, you don't care about, these people over here, right? You're missing who you're called to. You're missing who you're called to. This is where you need to be. This is where you stay planted. This is where you stay rooted. And in that, everything that is going to supply, fulfill your needs in life is in that organically and naturally. Because the God that I know has set me up for success, right? Without it being forced. It's just there for us if we listen.
Mm-hmm.
The horses led me here, right?
Mm-hmm.
All I had to do was say yes.
That's it.
That's it, ladies and gentlemen. This is the episode.
No. I have more questions because
No, but I was like, the way you said it.
golly, you're such an actor. The heck?
Yes.
Okay, so we done got real deep.
Yeah,
I'm gonna bring it back up a little bit.
go for it.
You went from I want to learn about horses. I'm gonna be in all y'all's business and I'm gonna learn everything I know.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have a horse.
Yeah.
When?
January.
How? Who? I mean, not who. What is the horse? Tell us about this horse.
Smokey Joe is the best thing that ever happened to me in my life.
Oh.
I mean, listen, my dog, I don't even get jealous being pissed at me. Austin, I love you.
Yeah, because it sounds big. That sounds like a big dog. I heard him earlier.
He's a big dog. That's my baby boy. Like, I've had him since he was 8 weeks old, and I think we've only spent maybe a year or 2 years apart. He'll be 10 this coming July, but Smokey Joe. I mean, he's my first ride at the trail riding place, first ride.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And when I got on him, I said to the trail guide, I said, I don't know why I'm saying this to you, but I'm gonna buy this horse one day. And she was like, go for it, live your dream. Like, he's a movie horse. He's done this, he's done that. I was like, wait, you're kidding me? She was like, and you're an actor. So the funny thing is, they thought I was Chadwick Boseman when I came to the trail riding place. Mm-hmm. So I think they were like, give him the good horse, like give him a nice one and a movie horse so he don't get thrown off. So give him a good one. And later I disappointed her when I said, no, my name's Brandon. I'm not Chadwick Boseman, but thank you. I get it a lot. But his temperament, everything about him, like learning about horses through him was the best thing that ever happened to me, because they were like, and it taught me about relationships. They said, don't get so caught up on Smokey that you miss out on what else you can learn from these other horses. Mm-hmm. So I said, bet. And I rode every horse they had, every draft, every pony, every standard bred, quarter. I rode all of them. For them, when I did say to myself, the horse I want is him, I knew. Because I rode the fast ones, I rode the lazy ones, I rode the big ones, I rode the stubborn ones, I rode the hot ones, the crazy ones, the ones with an attitude that one day I'm like, dang, I love this horse. Next day I'm like, what the horse is this? That really showed me that his temperament was so consistent, and I like to be consistent in my demeanor, in my temperament with people. That I was like, he's the horse for me, because within him there's a depth that I have. So Smokey was just like, anyone who meets him, they're like, it's like I'm with you when they're with him. And I was like, that's why I picked him. And Austin honestly is the same way. Like, he's a protector, but inherently his first language is love. So he protects out of love.
What kind of dog is it?
He's a Shepherd Lab mix.
Yes, I knew it. I knew it. I have a Shepherd. The way that you described him, I knew that he was a shepherd of some sort.
Of some sort.
Of some sort, yes.
Of some kind.
I have a Dutch Shepherd. And that is exactly how she is. She's like,
Do you want to educate the people though on a Dutch Shepherd versus a Malinois?
no.
You don't? Not tonight?
Like, you have to have a very significant investment for me to entertain this conversation.
I appreciate that. This is the cowboy thing for me. But know that I know that I'm sure people confuse your Dutch Shepherd for a Malinois, or just say, "Oh, you got a nice German Shepherd," and you're like,
German Shepherd. Yeah, I was like,
"Yeah, sure,
that's cool, whatever." Yeah, yeah. I used to work at an animal hospital. I was like the shepherd girl, and so that's why I'm like, nah, not today.
Not to.
So maybe another day. Sorry.
Not at all. It's amazing because the upper you're having here is the thing we don't see often in film is Black animal lovers, like truly animal lovers.
Mm-hmm.
Not that you have a dog and the dog's just in the movie, but like love their animals. And I was thinking, I said, okay, outside of Sounder and Old Yeller was technically, from the books, but you don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see it. And then, or if you do see it, when you look at Secretariat or the other horse movie, Seabiscuit, they're just the trainer or the help.
Yeah. Or they turn into the animals.
Or and then you got turn into the animal. and then you got Dr. Dolittle, right? But it's like we love our animals. We are caretakers by nature, and that's something that I think I want to see more of in film and television, which is us depicted in a way that the way you feel right now of talking about our dogs or our horses. Mm-hmm. This is an experience we have. It's not just y'all and your golden retriever.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not just that. This is a human experience. We all love our animals. We all love, that part of us that they're our family. They're connected to us in a way. But yeah. So anyway, this is a very interesting way to go back to Smokey Joe.
Yeah.
Smokey Joe has taught me. He's taught me honestly to be so present that nothing else in life has taught me how to be this present. That our time, when we're in our time doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. The saddle's on, I'm on, and when we go onto the mountains, nothing else matters. Phone don't matter, text don't matter, email don't matter. Nothing else matters. It's just us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's special. That's special. So you got them in January. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I done rode the heck out of this one since January.
Can you send me back to the
to the trail?
Because at least I probably only was ridden like once or twice a week.
Yeah. It's an experience. It's something that I want to encourage anybody who's listening. Like, I know a lot of people have fears of horses and riding. And I think once you get past that point of fear and you're introduced in a way that's not like abrasive or uncomfortable, I think you got to be around somebody who knows how to introduce you to horses.
Right.
I want to encourage at least once, find you a trail place, look at the reviews, whatever you need to. If you got a referral, find you a trail riding place, get in the saddle, go for a ride, start with 30 minutes, maybe you go for an hour. But in that time, allow yourself to just be present and connect with that horse. Mm-hmm. Just allow it. I can't guarantee you that the personality of that horse is going to be on point for the day, but I want to encourage you to go, to experience it, to say you've experienced it. If you've been wanting to do it, go do it. If you're afraid to do it, I can promise you probably know at least one person or somebody in your circle doesn't do it. They know somebody who does. Yeah. To go do it. And if not, DM one of us. Yep. And we'll talk you through it, boo. Because we're going to take care of you. Okay. So it's something that I want to encourage people to do because it is definitely something in this life that I don't I wouldn't want you to miss out on.
Right.
Because there's nothing like it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have kind of taken that introduction is so key.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, people are just now being introduced because of these stories that we are sharing or because of the content that's being created. But like my little mini horse, he's the perfect introduction, at a kid level. And I'm like, these kids might not even be storing their memories yet, but there's going to be some sort of subconscious association. Like, I experienced this and it was enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the introduction is key.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give? You're such a multifaceted person. So I'm going to say someone who is wanting to get into the horse industry because you are kind of fresher on the scene. What advice would you give them to do that?
Do we go deeper or do we go like upper, like, oh my God, cheery, yay?
Maybe not the don't give up. So maybe a little deeper than that.
This has been like one of my favorite interviews. Just because from the beginning I was like, why is this so like this is familiar?
As it should be.
As it should be. Don't do that because it doesn't make it as special. So
you're right. This will never happen again.
No, I'm just saying. I think it's special when there's a sense of comfort with somebody. You're like, we've only been like, young Black Equestrians mentioned you. Oh, thanks. Double tap. And that's the extent of. And then they're like, I want to interview you. When? 2 weeks later. Da, da, da.
Yes.
So when you finally get on the call, and this is the most communication you and I have had, to me, it's a very special thing because it speaks to you as a person. Truly, it does. It does. You create this atmosphere for all your guests, even the ones who can't say equestrians. But my advice to those people who wanted to get into the horse world, honestly, something that really helped me, and this is probably a weird thing to say, like, I just let myself watch some documentaries and some movies on horses to kind of like introduce myself to the world. And I was like, oh, this is fantastic. Buck Brenneman, there's a documentary. Have you seen Buck? Have you seen Buck?
I haven't seen. No, yes, I have seen.
You have?
Yeah.
So Buck was so good for me when I first got in because he talks about horsemanship from a place of gentleness and not what you've seen in movies. What you've seen in movies is a cowboy treats his horse like a tool. I hop on him, I run him real fast, I get off of him, get out of here, horse, slap on the button, the horse is gone. It's not even remotely close to that. It is a relationship, and this being has feelings and will talk to you and will do things for you in a way, if you learn to respect it, create boundaries, and let it know that if you take care of me, I'll take care of you. This is reciprocity. This is love. This is giving. So for anyone who's wanting to get into the world, understand that they're not just something you hop on for an aesthetic. They're not something you hop on because you want to go fast. They are powerful beyond belief in multiple ways. And when we respect that power, we can harness that power. And that power becomes an extension of us. But it's only through and only maximized through, to me, love. Love and respect. That's the only way you maximize the power that they harness.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to get into it and if you want to become a part of it and you want to understand it, that's where you start. You start with understanding it's a relationship, and you start with understanding that it has to be love. It's cooperation, not domination. I heard that from someone when I first started. It's cooperation, not domination.
Yeah, absolutely. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Have you ever been on a gaited horse?
No, I haven't actually. Those horses they had there, they don't have for the trails gaited horses.
Mm-hmm.
They typically have horses that are for any rider that can get on them. You know, even their drafts.
Mm-hmm.
They have advanced, if you will, but no, I haven't had a chance to get on the gaited horse.
Okay, just curious. Just add that to your bucket list.
Yeah.
Ride a Tennessee walking horse.
Listen, I've been looking at these standardbreds and it's been blowing my mind.
Yeah. Standardbreds are getting real popular on like Black Cowboy TikTok.
Yeah, they are. Is there something about them that they have a way? Well, for one, I think you don't expect, because when you've seen standardbreds, from my experience, it was top hat and a coattail, right? So it's like a very proper horse. Yes, I'm on my horse. Yes, you know, that was what you thought of when you saw a standardbred. But now you see these cats and they getting out, or they, you know, they're in North Carolina or wherever, and on the side of the road and they're riding a horse, that gaited horse, and the way they're moving it, it's just it's art. It's art in motion is what's happening. I think that's why it's popular. It's art in motion, and I think we inherently, as Black people, are always drawn to art. Whether you agree with the art or not is up to you. But I think it's art. It's something new and fresh, and the aesthetic of it all, and the feeling of it all, and the rhythm of the taka 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 taka. I give him to go, get him up. Taka 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 taka. You like get it. That boy go. He go.
Exactly like that.
And then my behind be like, go back. Get it. He gone. That boy gone. Sending it to all my boys. Hey, that boy getting up, big dog. He getting up. He got a big
funny. Stepper. What's so funny is I know exactly, like when I go to trail rides, I can hear that sound, and I sit so deep because my horse is like, we're gonna do it, and I'm like, no, we're not. I don't care what you hear. I hear it too, but we're not gonna do that. And so I have to sit so deep, and because they don't care, they will blow right past you, which is fine, not a big deal. But I can hear the taka 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 taka, and I'm like, no. So I see the guys, and I'm just like, yeah,
it's great.
I love y'all, but I'm gonna just stay in the back while y'all go.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think for me, when I get this ranch, I'm probably gonna stick in the quarter horse world. I love quarter horses. I think the way they move, and their temperament, for the most part, most quarter horses are so calm, and that's just kind of where my heart's at. You know, I love them.
Yes,
I really, really do.
You slid this in here real subtly. So when you get this ranch, that's the vision.
So literally, I'm looking at properties right now. I'm looking at 2.5 to 5 acres right now in Santa Clarita, Agua Dulce. My roommate right now, we were sitting by the fire one night, and he says to me, he said, "You know, I'm gonna be pissed at you if you don't get a ranch, right?" And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "I'm gonna be pissed because that is the next thing for you. You don't have to wait for nothing. You don't have to wait for that movie to pop. You don't have to wait for that next big commercial to come in. You go get that ranch you dream of. And that doesn't have to be your big ranch, because the big ranch for the kids and my kids' kids, we're talking like 50 plus acres somewhere, where I don't know where that's at yet. I'm going to take a tour of America and see, like, this is where I want to have like the one, right? This is the one that you pass down.
Yeah.
This is the one. But for now, here in LA, for Smokey Joe, Austin, my future family, my next horse and the horse after that, the thing is, I want to offer it to my actor friends and my friends here in LA. When they come out to where I'm at in Burbank, they are surprised at 20 minutes from the city that they are like hustle, 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 bustle. Mm-hmm. They find this little piece of peace. Mm-hmm. And for them, I want to be able to say, y'all, bonfire trail ride tomorrow, come to the house.
Yeah.
Just know that you got an hour out. If you need to stay for the night because you had too much whiskey, too much food, I got a room for you to stay in. Mm-hmm. That's what I think is so important for creatives in this industry, to have that kind of getaway. That's why you're seeing it so much right now. And so-and-so went to a dude ranch. So-and-so just went horseback riding. So-and-so's always loved horses. They're just showing you that they need that for the reset. So yeah, the next thing for me this next year is to go get my first ranch and go from there.
I love it. Love to see it. Love to see it. All right. We are now ready for the Derby round.
Oh, dang. Let me finish this off.
The Derby round that you answered with the very first word that comes to your mind. And no takebacks.
PG. We're keeping it PG.
We're
keeping it PG. I'm saying it to myself internally.
Oh, okay. Okay, good.
Say yes, Brandon. No.
All right. So, English or Western?
Western.
Solids or spots?
Solid.
Bays or grays?
Grays.
Brown tack or black tack?
Brown tack.
A sponge or a curry brush?
Curry brush. Come on.
Shod or barefoot?
Barefoot.
Bumper pull or gooseneck?
You know what? I haven't trailered yet, so I can't even speak on it. I got a truck and I haven't done it yet. I will pop that cherry soon.
Rope halter or nylon halter?
Nylon.
Wood fence or electric fence?
Wood.
Favorite piece of barn equipment?
Good rake for his poop, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Good rake for his poop.
Yeah. Favorite piece of tack?
You know what? His reins.
Mm-hmm.
He's got some really nice rope reins. I like him a lot.
Cool. Last time you fell off? If money was no object, what is one horse related purchase you would make? Now, we'll come back to that after you answer this question.
I don't even know what the question is.
If money was no object, what is one horse related purchase you would make?
Oh, you know what? I'd get him a new saddle with a different breast collar that connects underneath. I wouldn't do the back cinch though, but I would get him a new saddle for sure.
Cool. You mean to tell me you haven't fallen off?
No.
That's good for you. I'm glad. But when and if this thing happens to you, because it took me a long time to fall off too.
Amen. Hallelujah. I mean,
I am a survivalist. Like
okay.
I've been hanging on the side before, and it's like I'm not gonna hit the ground until I did hit the ground. But I'm glad. I'm glad you have.
How far in were you before your first fall?
I mean, my first fall was only like 3 years ago, so very far in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it on a new horse or your horse?
It was on my horse, and I got a new saddle, and I was just really excited, and I didn't make sure that it was like on all the way. And so I
But
just,
but you see where it came from. Like you can acknowledge, like you didn't fall as a writer,
yeah, no.
you know. And I think that's something that I've been like, wait, if I'm just on trail and we're doing what we always do, y'all be acting like I'm gonna be like, oh, I failed. How the heck, Smokey? What? It's not. I just don't be like. I be thinking to myself like, bruh, how is it just something that magically happens that you look up and you're like, I failed.
wow.
Everybody told it was gonna happen, and it happened. Here it is, y'all. Here it is.
I think in your case, there would have to be some sort of like spooking or startling that was
Yeah.
completely out of the ordinary. But I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad that,
Thank
no.
you. Safe and sound. In
Haven't
the name of
experienced-
name of Jesus. Yes,
Yeah.
Lord.
Yeah. Well, Brandon, thank you so much. I am so glad we did this episode. I
Yes.
am so thankful for your openness and your, everyone is using this word now, but I don't care because this is what I mean, authenticity. And
yes.
the work that you are putting in to shed light over on the West Coast to some of these people that we see, but we have not truly seen. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you for the work you're doing, for this podcast, for your content you're putting out. You know, you are bringing awareness and in a beautiful way. In a beautiful, beautiful way. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the laughs. Thank you for making it special, even though you didn't think it was special, because everyone should feel this way all the time. Great. And everyone who's listening, continue to support, push, and share more of this.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Young Black Equestrians. Head over to our Facebook or Instagram pages and let us know what you thought about that episode. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and have the opportunity to be featured in our next episode.